one thing I wanted to make sure I got out of the way is the last podcast I did in September. I started talking about my issue with the Black Lives Matter movement and was talking about my issue of the extremism within it. I was talking about an article where a co-founder, from what I said in that last podcast, the co-founder was talking about whites should be doing this for blacks, and it went on and on and on. And I went on to Rally Point, the military focus forum. I went on to Rally Point, the military forum, and I posted that link, and a couple guys started talking, and someone had told me that they knew somebody that was real deep in the Black Lives Matter movement, and they said, well, they said, I've never heard the co-founder say that, and I don't remember her name. I don't want to say too many names of them, regardless, because things could change. But I ended up reading the article again, and I missed some very important parts in there that I completely glossed over, which was that it wasn't the co-founder of the movement, it was the co-founder of the Louisville, Kentucky chapter, or gang, whatever you want to call it, gang group chapter, that area, that small group there, or however big it is. So I screwed that one up, and I wanted to go on the record for saying, I said that completely. I got my facts mixed up. It still doesn't change. One of the issues that I have with the movement is that and of course I don't know much of it other than what the media forces down my throat. I don't do too much research into it, but there's not a lot of, from what I see, a lot of check and balances within Black Lives Matter. When somebody, at the Louisville, Kentucky area say, whites need to do all these things for blacks. They need to, whites that have an extra house, they need to give it to poor black folks. You don't see anybody come on social media and say, well, hold up, someone from the Black Lives Matter movement say, wait a minute, that's not what we stand for. We're about equality. We're not about trying to have a level of elitism or segregation again, or trying to get handouts, anything of that nature. It's pretty much, you get an article, and of course I know it's hard. It's media, mass media. It's a full-time job being any type of social media manager, which is pretty much what type of the job title of doing that would be called. That's overwhelming, but it is an issue nonetheless that I think kind of rattles the whole Black Lives Matter movement. You got people running around saying we need to kill all white people, and the media, of course, doing the media thing, which is sensationalizing or exaggerating things in a way that promotes the vision for the divide and conquer. That's that tinfoil hat mentality. It just becomes a bigger issue at that point. But speaking of extremists, I've always considered for anyone that's some type of extremist that they need to be held accountable. They need to be put in a position to have some type of debate with someone that can be a little more objective. Everyone's got got some things that they're passionate about or they're serious about, that they're just hardcore. This is my stance on this, and I'm not changing. I've got them. One of my big passions or things that I'm really stuck on is if somebody needs to lose weight. It's a lot of things you need to do, but one of the things I emphasize is you always have time. You can always make time. There is no excuse. That's why I tell people, you can always do a couple squats or lunges before getting in the shower or the bathtub. And you can always make time if you're creative, everything else. And I'm always big on have a leg day, a couple other things, but that's other stuff. And questioning things. That's one thing I've always been big on. I'm always about asking why, wanting to know the why, not just the what, when and where. Why? What's the purpose? What is the history of this? What is this meant to do versus what I'm expecting it to do, or what I'm going to do? What is the purpose? Why? Why is this the way it is? And that's one thing I've always thought to be important and missing a lot of times when you have an issue with extremists, whether it be racist, sexist, etc. Such as, I think about a month or two ago, and I think this was a good while ago actually, there was a professor that has said some extremist type Black Lives Matter things about whites being conditioned to mass murder. That's what the articles I read has said anyway. You're more than happy to send me a comment or a message saying, wait a minute, that's not what she said at all. This isn't me speaking on research that I had done. This is an in passing thing. So take it with a grain of salt or get upset and correct me if you feel the need. And I think they fired her for that. What I would have liked to see, and of course I'm speaking from way on the outside, again, not having much information into the specifics of if she said those things in a classroom, something like that inside a classroom. Have them ask her questions. Have the students ask those questions. That way students get a better understanding of, at the very least, why someone would think like that. You see the memes on Facebook and Twitter when people say that everyone's so comfortable with not knowing or understanding, and it's to the point where people are, we avoid controversial topics instead of trying to find a way to embrace them, stumbling through trying to figure out how to have the conversations about such things, the sexism, racism. Those things are kind of important. At some point, we need to be able to talk about those things more often, because there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation, a lot of knowledge and perspective, points of view that aren't heard often enough, because you have to sift through so much junk to find it, or it's normally sensationalized in a way where it kind of divides people. And one of the things I've always, I might even go so far to cut that one out in audio editing. But one thing that I think is important is that if you're going to have a strong stance on something, you understand the other side of the seesaw. I said earlier that I'm big on, there are no excuses for working out. You can do something, you can make the time. At the same time, when I say that to someone, I try to make it known that I understand that you are a mother of 3 kids. You have a lot of going on with schoolwork, or work is mentally draining for you, and everyone's got different things everyone's got things they're dealing with. Everybody has their own struggles. You don't know everything that everyone's dealing with. But it's one of those things where you have to find a way to hit that balance. If you're gonna say, if I tell someone, hey, there's no excuse, you can find the time. At the same time, in somewhere in that conversation, I'm gonna start asking questions about what are you doing when you're not at work? What are you doing when you're not eating, or when you normally don't have anything important that needs to be done? You can, during that time, you can bang out a set of squats or push-ups, whatever. That's 5 minutes. 1 minute is 1 minute of getting your quads fired up, quadriceps fired up is something. It counts. And that's usually how I am, especially when it comes to the more controversial stuff. I'm talking about fitness, with health and losing weight. When you start talking about racism, or what is the issue between blacks and whites, if I start talking about someone judging me based on being black, African American, African descent, colored, whatever you choose to give me, whatever category you choose to give me, that's more specific than simply American. There are always stigmas from the media. I'm gonna be a thief, I'm not gonna be a father, all that other stuff. If I say that these are issues that I need whites to realize aren't always true, at some point I also need to be able to at least say, I understand that there are many that you can find that live up to that stigma, and that embrace and carry that stigma and live that stigma, but they don't represent everyone, and it's not as many of them as you may believe. Now, just regardless of where you are, just because you see a lot of them doesn't mean that they speak for the majority doesn't mean they are the majority. It simply means they are a percentage, and they may be easier to find, or you simply notice them more often because that's what you're looking for. You may not be looking for the blacks that are just doing their thing, maybe the cash register at whatever store, or the person at the help desk that you went through to talk to and get help about something, or that great person that helped you over the phone and you probably didn't even know she was black, But going back to it, if you got a hard stance on something, at some point it helps to be able to talk with someone that's maybe on the opposite side, helps to be able to at least try to understand them, helps to acknowledge it. Same thing with the feminism thing. I understand that females for history, throughout history, have been in many ways inferior to men as far as socially. They've been treated as inferior many times, and now that it's all this empowerment and everyone's all about equality and trying to equality and equity, the feminism thing, which I'm still not too sure what it is. I'm not looking it up right now, but I understand the thing of females deserve more respect and be respected as people, and I don't have an issue with that. The issue that I will have, of course, would be that they need to speak up for and understand how some men are going to sit back and go, wait a minute, what about y'all talking about men ain't nothing and we are actually inferior? That's kind of goes along with some of the Black Lives Matter stuff, or some black related racial type issues, when someone says, well, blacks are actually superior because, I don't know, if Jesus' skin was brown, or he had a hair of wool, something like that, or to think of blacks have melatonin, which has all these things, so much great because reasons. When feminists say something about feminism, that's what many of us are thinking. We're thinking, wait a minute, how much of that extremism do you have in there? How much are you trying to put yourself above us? And that's, again, one of those things where you need to be put in a situation. Well, it will benefit many people to have a situation where you can talk with someone like that one-on-one. That's a controversial topic, and be able to talk about those things and learn some perspectives.